Welcome back to Life in the North 40. I'm Rick, and boom! Today we're going to talk about every little thing you've ever wanted to use to start a fire with in one metal box. So this has got tons of redundancy and tons of great things in it to start a fire. How I really built this though is I pulled one of everything in my combustion category bin for building my survival kits and preparedness tins, and I grabbed them and I put them in this tin. This would be something great for you to make for yourself because it's going to have every option and it's watertight. It's a cool box. It's a good size. It's not super small or super large, but it's got a pressure release valve. It locks. Pretty cool. So let's get this unboxed. See what's inside. Man, I like those clips right there that lock in. Really nice. And that is holding the lid that has two different handles on it, which I really like. You could suspend this if you needed to and actually cook or something in this tin, maybe boil water, whatever. It also has a rubber seal on the inside, so when those spring clips are locked, it really presses into that, and it's got a good watertight seal, and it's pressured pretty well. Here's the inside of that pressure release valve there. So kind of cool, stainless steel. You know, there's a bunch of matches out there. If you haven't seen my 10 C's of Survival Preparedness videos, part 1 and 2, watch those videos because they are very in-depth in each category for every option that I have on hand or generally most people would use in each category for building survival kits, preparedness kits, and so on. I've got some various match options in here. I've got some very high-end ones, and then I have these. These Pine Mountain matches, they're waterproof. They will guarantee to stay lit for 20 seconds, windproof. These are at Walmart and they were fairly inexpensive, but they're affordable and they're kind of akin to some of the more expensive versions, and I have some of those I'm going to show in a minute. It's so weird you can't find Strike Anywhere matches anymore. Well, I ended up buying these online and they still make them, so I got a couple packs of big packs of these. So these Strike Anywheres are like when we were kids, they were more common. You could just take the match and on a porous surface like a rock or something like that, fairly smooth but still has a roughness to it, you could start these. The old Westerns, they'd start them off their jeans, right? These are kind of flimsy looking, but they do have a Strike Anywhere head. So I thought I'd throw these in the kit. You don't necessarily need the striker on the back of the box like most matches now, safety matches. So I threw a bunch of those in. Looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 32 matches in each. And this stuff is in no certain order. I added 2 wet fire tinders by UST. These are really good, really flammable. They will light when wet, trying to get wet fuel going. These are really good for that. So these are they cost a little bit of money. You can make something similar to this with a cotton ball and Vaseline, but these are individually packaged and they last quite a while, so that's kind of nice. Good to have in a kit, won't make a mess. And here I have, a lot of people are like, hey, why do you have a pencil sharpener in there? This is actually multi-purpose. It is a magnesium pencil sharpener. So you can literally shave shavings off of this and they are flammable, just like a mag block, a magnesium block. You can spark onto that and get that going, real hot white flame. So you can do that if needed, and yes, it's a pencil sharpener. This is a German steel on here, and you can actually take small pieces of material like twigs or sticks, and you could shave down some pieces of that into little shavings for tinder, you know, and or sharpen a stick, but you know, it is for a pencil, a long lead pencil it says. So good to have. That is just another way to procure and prepare tinder, and actually it's highly flammable with the magnesium. Here I have a spark wheel. This is by UST. This costs a little bit of money. You know, this is not inexpensive like matches or something like that. I mean, it won't break the bank. It's a spark wheel, you know, from your lighter. If, you know, a Bic lighter or whatever, or Zippo, you hit the rough wheel and it hits that flint, creates your spark. Perfect for getting onto char cloth and some fluff or tinder or whatever to get your fire started. and that thing's gonna operate in like pretty inclement conditions. It does come with multiple flints. It's got several in here. It's spring loaded, so kind of cool. And right here we have the old Ferrocerium rod. This isn't the biggest one out there or anything. It's got a decent size, should have several strikes on it. But I also have a piece of cordage on here, which is survivor cord. So it's got the wire, the hemp for fire starting, monofilament fishing line, and then just nylon cordage. So it's multi-purpose. And then I got a little striker tool here for the Ferrocerium rod with a little hex wrench, scraper. It's got a small little ruler on it. So it just gives me a scraper option attached. I had the room, why not? Obviously we got room in here. Why don't you go with this first, right? Good old Bic lighter, right? And if you haven't seen how to make your Bic better video, watch that. It shows exactly what I've done to this lighter. You think, well, what can you do to a lighter? It's not that big a deal. Do something to the top and then put this very flammable, great tinder and fire holding option on here. I discussed that in that video. Another cool thing that's homemade is what I call the Supermatch here. You can see our video on how to make the Supermatch and what this is. It's unbelievable just how much output this thing can do. So check that video out. I show you how to make them, and it's short, to the point, kind of interesting. And we've got a bundle of fat wood. Pine fat wood here, all kind of cut the same length. I can chip this out if I need to into fine shavings. I can split this finer than it is to get a fire going. And then of course I've got a Ranger band on here holding that wood together, which is also a form of tinder and very flammable. So multi-purpose. Remember I said I got multiple match options. This is, UCO makes the high-end storm-proof matches. They have the Titan match and all that, which is a real big version of this. These are just unbelievable. You're gonna pay more money for this, but look at that burning material on that and the thickness of the stick, okay? That's just very heavy duty. It's got 20, I think this is 20 matches in here. It's got the striker on this floatable waterproof box that it came in. And there's extra strikers in here as well that come with that if you wear that one out. It's got a little seal here, rubber gasket that makes this container completely waterproof. And then in the lid, it comes with some tinder or some, to hold your spark. Nice little fluff. It's a little fluffed cotton, and that's included in this. So you're gonna spend more money for this, but these are like, this is creme de la creme on the match category. This kind of an item. They make a bigger, longer version of what I just showed you. It's just unbelievable. So that is one of the things that I love to have in my kit here. Also have two UCO 12-hour beeswax candles. These are cool, so 12 hours each. You can containerize yourself, maybe get you in a poncho hooch or whatever. These can raise a closed space up to 20 degrees when you light these, and they're a good illumination source. But these are just great to have, and I could fit two in this box. And I've got the old Fresnel lens here, which is a magnifying lens that allows you to magnify the rays of the sun, solar rays, onto that, something like that cotton I showed you, or a small bundle of like down feathers that you maybe find in a nest or whatever, crumpled paper. You can get this thing to create a black spot that starts to burn on paper or other options and get that going into a fire. Cool, and it has a ruler on it. It's a magnifier for reading if needed. Comes in a protective case here, which is also flammable. And what I got here are some Firestarters. That is basically a paper product that's embedded with, I think, wax and flammable material with a match head tip. You can strike these, get these going, and they're just really flammable and really going to be good for getting a fire started. So I took that pack, just taped it shut. I've got 3 birthday candles. These are really good size, and these are also the trick birthday candles that when you try to blow them out, they have kind of a, not gunpowder, but something like that in there that will keep them lit, which is great for inclement conditions. And why not have a candle that's gonna try to stay lit versus a normal? So those are some bigger ones I found. And on that vein, I also had room for this package. These are smaller of the relighting birthday candles. Those are good to have, right? Very handy for obvious reasons in a fire starting kit. Then I've got the magnesium block with a ferro rod on the end embedded with a striker. This also has like a fine tooth saw blade as well for Tinder. This is a great deal at Harbor Freight, cheapest place to get these. Used to carry one of those in my hunting pack as a kid. And this one, you're like, what? Why dental floss? Well, I mean, what's that got to do with fire starting? Well, it's like, a waxed wick basically, holds the flame well. There's a lot here. You can wrap strands, but this is a good tinder as well. And it's very small and compact, great to have. And it's a form of cordage if you need it, but that's not what this kit's about. It's just about fire. I think this is 44 yards of waxed dental floss and very inexpensive. I think that's like 99 cents. So what you see here are some tinder quick tabs and some shaved down pieces of fat wood that I showed you earlier, some slivers off of the chunks like that. And I just put them together in here to be able to use. Tinder quick, if you're not familiar, you see it's basically just tightly woven cotton fluff and stitched around it, and you can cut that stitch, you can fray this out, and that's a perfect thing to catch your spark or your ember for whatever source you're trying to do it from. So good to have, and I just kind of package that up in a little Ziploc. And then my inside of my container, right? I could cook in this thing and boil water or whatever, but that is just a good sized container for putting all those goodies in that I had. I'm probably gonna get more of these. These are pretty cool. Got it on Amazon. Well, thanks for joining me on this survival fire starting tin with every option I had. Kind of fun, kind of interesting. Maybe you're gonna build yourself one. Thanks for joining us though. And if you have other thoughts on this, shoot me a comment like I said below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for joining us in Life in the North 40. Take care.